So we're here in somewhere in South Carolina, and that way is the Dragon, and that is the new 300 horsepower JCW Clubman. And we are going to take it for a little drive. We've just picked it up, put a few hundred miles on it. So far, so good on all fronts. It's got an enormous amount of power, obviously, a ton of grip. Brakes are fantastic as well, which of course is always important for a track, or I'm sorry, for a road like the Dragon. So really excited about where we're going and really excited about this car. The 2020 JCW Clubman. This is our first day after taking the keys, and here we are, sort of at the mouth of the Dragon. God, it's such a gorgeous area. So how's the car feel? This is the car that a lot of us have been waiting for a while. You know, the 300 horsepower, 301 horsepower is the big headline here. But what about everything else? The suspension does feel a little bit more buttoned down. It feels a little bit more, I wouldn't say compliant, but you know, I think what I'm feeling is just frankly just a level of communication that I did not before. And I don't know if that's down to some of the suspension tweaks specifically, but it definitely feels different. I mean, coming from the Countryman, I had the club in this car in 228 horsepower form 2 years ago, and then I've just run the Countryman JCW for the past year. This is a decidedly better performance car and driver's car than the Countryman. There's no question about it. I love the Countryman, but you know, if you're really focused on driving experience, this is the one to get by a clear margin, I would say. But how does this compare to what came before it? So it's all subtleties in a lot of ways, outside of the power, of course. I would say that the transmission is certainly quicker in some of the shifts. It's decidedly quicker on upshifts, which is interesting. Haven't driven it a ton, but have put on a few hundred miles thus far, and it's very clear to me that there's been improvements there. As far as the actual suspension, again, I feel like there's a level of communication here that wasn't there before. It may just be brand new tires. It may just be me having been in a Countryman for a while and forgetting what this club in JCW felt like. But it feels great. I'll say that. I know that for sure. And then you get to the power. I mean, that's of course where so many folks are kind of looking at this car, wondering, you know, is this my next Mini? It's really amazing. You know, the reality is you don't need a lot of power on the Dragon, but in these sweepers leading up to it's very, I'll say it's sort of reassuring, if you will. I mean, I can just apply speed so effortlessly in this car, whereas previously you had a little bit more thought. You had to carry speed. I mean, 228 horsepower is not nothing, but in a car that weighed as much as this does, you know, well over 3,000 pounds, I mean 34, I believe. It's not a power to weight ratio that screams fast. It's quick, but certainly not fast. Now we have a very fast car. This is a car that can effortlessly pile on speed. Now, coupled with the 14-inch rotors up front, new calipers, they effortlessly take speed away. I mean, that's the other thing, the other bit of this that, you know, we haven't really talked a lot about. Braking has been improved. The braking feel is excellent, as it was before, but even more so now. And you know, I think what it all does is it all serves to create a level of confidence that we have never seen. I have never seen in a Mini before, and I think that's really interesting. On a road like this, confidence is of course incredibly important, and we are in a car that feels like it's just easily going to be able to tackle gap. So here we go. Let's do it. The Dragon. So the Clubman is such a great performance chassis. I mean, it's front-wheel drive, of course, but with the addition of the rear-wheel drive, becomes a lot closer 50-50 distribution. The mass is lower than the Countryman, of course, and it's lighter, and so you really have a vehicle that has a kind of a tenacious attitude to it in terms of grip, in terms of immediacy of turn-in. It definitely drives smaller than it is, and it's not a big vehicle by any means. It's about the size of a four-door Golf, but it feels smaller than that. It feels much more eager than a Golf, for that matter. And on the Dragon, it's really what you need. One thing to note about the Dragon, if you ever think about coming down, there are a lot of drop-offs, and when I say drop-offs, I mean even little ones that are right off the road, right off the pavement, that will wreak havoc on all sorts of suspension bits, wheels, tires, etc. There's not a lot of room for error here in this road, and gotta really be on your stuff and extremely focused. Descending radius, love those, huh? I knew that was coming. It's funny how I've driven this, I almost called it a track, this road so many times, but it's been a while. But it does come back to you. It definitely comes back. Oh, buddy. Stay in your lane, bud. That's the thing about the Dragon. There's a code of honor here that involves a few things. One of them is definitely staying in your lane, because this is a narrow road. There's no room for error. You could have a 40-foot drop off on one side. You could have a stone wall on the other. It's not something that you want to have to battle oncoming traffic with. Traffic up front, just as well. The other thing about the Dragon is it's not something that, how do I say this? Passengers usually don't have a great time. You can absolutely get sick from this road. Yeah, the shifts. The sort of the click of the shifts are fantastic in this car. That's definitely an improvement over the previous iteration. This is really changing the game for Mini. I mean, this is what the car should have been when it was launched. And in some respects, it's a shame that it wasn't, because I think there's an opportunity lost there, but I'm sure that the engine wasn't quite ready. It's a bold move for Mini to be able to say, listen, we're not going to offer a manual in one of the key enthusiast cars that we sell, but we are going to give you over 300 horsepower, and that really starts to change perceptions of the Mini brand, in my opinion. The Mini brand has always been sort of apologetic in a subtle way for not having the horsepower, but they talk about feel, they talk about lightweight performance, etc., which is all very valid, but when it comes down to it, horsepower sells a certain type of car, or certainly it helps, and it would have helped this one from the get-go. Glad to see it, for sure. And I do hope that the reviews, beyond of course ours, are received well. I'm sure that it's going to be reviewed well. but it would have been really interesting to see this car have it from day one, and for that, you know, Clubman, the JCW name, to be sort of synonymous with, you know, 0 to 60 of 4.6 seconds, and you know, kind of a true track weapon. Last little stretch here of the Dragon. Wow. So let's sum this up. 301 horsepower JCW Clubman on the Dragon is pretty spectacular. It's probably not as straight up engaging as one of the smaller minis. I mean, certainly not you know, what a GP would be, but it's fast, it's fun, it flows through this course, this road I should say, and it is a absolute animal in terms of its ability to grip and accelerate out of corners with all-wheel drive, the torque, the power, everything. I am thoroughly impressed by what MINI has achieved here with this car.